Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Tom.
It's time!
Live from the CSB studios in Westbury, New York.
It's the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Featuring co-host Kevin Dolan and the host that's been here since day one, Jerry Napoleonello. On Zeno Radio.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show live on Zeno Radio this Monday evening, 16th day of May. I'm Jerry Napoleonello in Westbury. He's Kevin Donlin in Valley Stream. Thank you for deciding to spend your evening with us. What a weekend we had in sports. We have the matchup set for the conference finals in the NBA. That starts tonight. NHL playoffs conference finals are in full swing. The number to call, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. But first, here's Kevin with the 60-second summary.
That's right, Jerry. NBA playoffs kicked off, and the Toronto Raptors move on to play the LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers after their 116-89 Game 7 win over the Miami Heat. Game 1 is Tuesday at 8:30. We may have just seen the last of Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs, or in the San Antonio Spurs uniform, let's say the least, as they lose their series in 6 games to the Thunder. Thunder move on to play the Warriors. Game 1 is tonight at 8:30. NHL playoffs, we had 2 series go to 7 games, but they were both blowouts. Blues defeating the Stars 6-1, and the Sharks defeating the Predators 5-0. Conference finals have begun. Lightning won Game 1 against the Penguins 3-1. Game 2 is tonight at 8 o'clock, and the Blues won Game 1 against the Sharks 2-1. Game 2 is Tuesday at 8 o'clock. The Yankees are coming off 3 series wins in a row, taking 2 out of 3 from Boston, 3 out of 4 from Kansas City, and 2 out of 3 from the White Sox. They start their series tonight against the Diamondbacks at 9:40. Mets split their series with the Dodgers 2-2 and were swept by Colorado in their last 7 games and now have dropped to 3rd in the NL East, falling behind Washington and Philadelphia. They start the highly anticipated series versus the Nationals tomorrow. Well, the Jose Bautista bat flip has finally been talked about for the last 7 months or so, has now finally punched him in the mouth. Oh, wait. That was Rougned Odor, as a big brawl took place in the 8th inning as the Blue Jays and Rangers game yesterday after Bautista slid into second very, very hard, and the suspensions are expected. I'm Kevin Dolan with your Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary.
So
that was unbelievable.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, you haven't been on the show in a while.
Unbelievable.
It was. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So you haven't been on the show for a while. It's been, 2-3 weeks? So,
I've been very busy.
A lot has happened. And
oh, yeah.
I mean, just the jersey that you're wearing, I mean, I had to sit on the show by myself and kind of hold back tears that the Islanders are out of the playoffs now.
Well, you're lucky I wasn't on the show for that because, I probably would have said a lot of hurtful things. It was a very stressful time. When it came down to it, the Islanders, they had a great season. Obviously, the fallout of the playoffs the way they did, very disappointing fashion. I mean, you always want to make it difficult for a team to advance against you, especially in a game clincher. And it seemed like the Islanders just flopped that one out.
Yeah, they did.
Obviously, not the kind of game they want to play. It's just this team cannot play in the afternoon. I mean, they even tried to change their resume. I know that John Tavares made it a point to change things around for this team in preparation of that game. That didn't work.
No, it didn't.
For the Islanders, obviously, there's a lot to go into it. For them coming into the off season, starting with the signing of, or possibly the losing of 3 potential big players in that lineup, in Matt Martin, Franz Nielsen, and Kyle Okposo. So it's very interesting what the new owners are going to be doing when they take ownership over.
Yeah, but I mean, when you were talking in the 60-second summary, that last one that you were talking about, and you kind of said unbelievable, that fight. I mean, it was like the UFC at second base in Texas yesterday.
It was very disappointing to watch. These guys are grown men. Obviously, what Jose Bautista did was unbelievable. Now, we've talked about this. The chase out Lee rule and everything being in effect. Basically, this guy slid and No, his rear end hit second base.
Yeah.
That's how late that slide. So, when you watch the slide over and over, it doesn't look too dirty, and it doesn't look like he got too much of, a particular, Rougned Odor. But when it came down to it, it was a dirty slide. It was a very, very late slide. Could have potentially hurt Odor, seriously.
That's kind of where that's kind of where we differ on this. I don't think it was a dirty play.
It was a very late slide.
I will
have to argue with you on this.
I will give you that.
Very late.
It was late, but he doesn't touch Odor at all. And I mean, he was going
because he got out of the way.
Yeah, well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Would have seriously had a big time knee injury.
Yeah,
listen. Jose Bautista coming
100%. That's what happens. Everybody knows that they played each other last year in the playoffs. A very high-powered, fun playoff series that they had, and you had the one game where Jose Bautista hit the home run to take the lead and obviously later win the series for the Toronto Blue Jays. He hits the home run and then he, had the bat flip, and everybody's been talking about it. And this is what happened. And the Rangers actually waited until about his last at bat. It was the 8th inning of the last game of them playing each other this year. And then they drilled him. He was on first base, ground ball hit, goes to second base, and he, had a hard slide into second base. And that's what started the whole thing. And then they kind of got up in each other's face. Odor pushed him and then cold clocked him. I mean, they were saying Mike.
It was vicious. If there's one way to describe that punch, it was pretty vicious. And obviously, Bautista, I mean, this is just coming from a fan perspective. He deserved every second of it. I'm not a fan of slides that late. I mean, you look at the slide over and over again. It doesn't look too dirty, but you look at where he lands. His rear end literally lands on the bag at second base. So there's no reason to slide at that point. You're too late to be sliding. That decision was made entirely too late. I think Odor had every right to be very, very angry with Jose Bautista right there. And, do I agree with him punching him in the face? Of course not. But the pushing and shoving, you had to see it coming a mile away. And by the looks of it, if Odor didn't punch him, it seemed like Jose Bautista was going to be punching him. So, obviously, a lot of tensions were made in that game. I don't even think people realize Texas won that game pretty outright. But for these two teams right now, obviously, just bad publicity right now. And it's so negative the way the situation went down. But at the same time, you got to clean that up. And, to do something along the lines of that, between the slide and the punch, it's just a situation that no team or no organization wants to be any part of. And now, granted, I know we're trying to protect these players, and it's understandable they're trying to protect these players.
Yeah.
These guys make $300 million, which are absurd contracts to begin with.
Yeah.
And we've talked, and this has been a whole different other conversation that we've had many times. And, I understand the protecting of these players, but at the same time, you have to understand that you're taking away big aspects of this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Breaking up a double play is part of baseball.
That's part of the business.
I do it at Sunday softball. So
yeah.
Why can't these professional MLB players do
exactly
this on the diamond, on the professional diamond?
Exactly.
So it really comes down to the fact that a lot of these teams, a lot of these organizations are trying to protect their players. And you're seeing it even with pitchers.
Oh, I know.
And you're seeing all these pitchers that, throw high 90s consistency. And, Matt Harvey's speed is down. Chris Sale's speed is down. Felix Hernandez's speed is down. This isn't just
and it's
a
like,
coincidence that all
but
these
the
guys'
thing,
speed is coming down.
The thing is,
what they're being coached.
The thing is, it's a big problem. Like people, it's like the end of the world that all these guys, fastballs are down 3 miles per hour. And that's the kind of baseball that we're in. But, we're going to keep talking about this whole this brawl that happened in Texas probably next segment. We're going to get into we're going to quickly talk about the NBA playoffs. We have the conference finals set. It's going to be the Raptors, Cavaliers, Warriors, and the Thunder. It was sad to see Tim Duncan. First of all, he's been a shell of himself. And, I mean, we're going to talk about this quick because we're going to talk about the NBA playoffs in a little bit. But quickly talking about just, Tim Duncan, for instance, it's sad to see him play like a shell of himself when it came to the end of the season and into the playoffs. He had a great season this year, all the way up until, the last week or so, and then into the playoffs. And it was he showed his age. And I said last week, before this
the whole
series.
team showed their age. It
well,
wasn't
yeah.
really just him.
Oh, I know. And I said this last week, that I thought Tim Duncan, no matter what happened in that series, I think no matter what happened this season, I think he was going to retire. And now I really firmly say that I think he is going to retire. Manu Ginobili might retire as well. This team is going to be falling apart soon. But, I mean, that team just showed its age. But the Thunder...
I'll make it short and sweet. This NBA playoff situation right now. This round that we're in, the conference finals, I mean, you can really just make it like a quick,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Because the Oklahoma City Thunder clearly do not have the defense to stop the Golden State Warriors. And if you can't stop Golden State,
I have a question for you, though.
You're not going to win this series.
Do the Golden State Warriors have the defense to stop the Thunder? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Who?
Yes, they do.
Steph Curry is not going to be. Steph Curry is not going to be able to stop.
It isn't Steph Curry. It ain't Steph Curry. It's Draymond Green.
No, I understand that.
There you go. There is the defense that's going to stop Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. Now, Russell Westbrook, I think, is going to be more of a hassle for the Golden State Warriors. But Russell Westbrook is not going to be able to keep up with Steph Curry because, let's be honest, who does keep up with Steph Curry?
I'm
starting to believe that God himself can't keep up with Steph Curry.
No, not at all. And I had
Steph Curry's an unbelievable scorer.
My opinion. Oh, unbelievable. My opinion on this is that I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop the Thunder, and I don't think anybody's going to be able to stop the Warriors. I think this is going to be a high-powered scoring series. But my problem is I think the Thunder are going to be the ones that stop themselves. Because I feel that Durant and Russell Westbrook are going to feel that they have to do more than anything in this series to beat them. And that's where I think the problem comes. I think this series goes 7 at least. Maybe it may go 6, but I think the Warriors win this. The other series, Raptors and Cavaliers, this is going to be a sweep. Cavaliers will sweep this again. They're going to go 12-0 so far going into the finals. So that's how I look at it. It is a very lopsided conference finals, especially in the Eastern Conference.
I just can't wait for the finals at this rate because, honestly, when it comes down to it, it's Golden State, it's Cleveland. I want to see those teams go at it. And I'll be honest, I want to see Cleveland win a championship. Yeah. It's crazy. I never thought I would say this, but, you start to feel bad for Cleveland and their fans. And
hey, if LeBron James,
it's been a while.
If LeBron James wasn't on the Cleveland Cavaliers, I'd be going right with you there. But I think I want the Warriors to win. I can't watch LeBron James win another championship.
Be a great series, and I'll tell you,
I think it is too.
Cleveland.
I'm going to pick Golden State.
I'm going to pick Cleveland because Cleveland has the defense that can stop the Golden State Warriors.
First of all, the thing is,
it's going to be impossible to stop the Golden State Warriors. Let's be honest. I think we all can agree on that. But when it comes down to it, you basically have to understand that, when it comes down to push and shove, I mean, Cleveland's got guys like, Shumpert and J.R. Smith, the small little guys that can make an impact. Kyrie Irving's a scorer. LeBron James is a scorer. Kevin Love is a scorer. And for Golden State, you got Curry and Thompson. And, it's funny because we're already talking about the finals here. That's how bad this –
I know. That's what I'm saying.
So predicted. Now, you say 7 games at least for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I say at least 6 or 7, I think. At least 6 or 7.
I don't see Oklahoma City winning games. They don't. I've seen games where Oklahoma City just couldn't stop anything.
They could have beat
anybody.
They could have beat the Warriors in all 3 games. The Warriors just, Steph Curry hit some crazy shots. They ended up pulling it out in the fourth.
Who was guarding him?
I don't remember.
I can't name anybody on this team that's going
to
guard Steph Curry.
But
that's what makes it so difficult. For
before we go on, I just wanted to bring up these Bart Scott comments because you're a Jets fan. So listen to these, and I want to hear your opinion, and then we're going to go to a break.
Fish don't have a leg to stand on, man. He is who he is. And you can have great teams and great records, but at this point, pretty much everybody knows who he is. He's a quality guy. If he was another 20 teams in the league, he would be a backup. And the only teams that he would start for is the teams that have bad quarterback situations. He's a bridge guy, a glue guy. I'm not going to give you 15. Okay, he wants 15,000 because what's the kid from Denver that went Osweiler, right?
Osweiler.
But they still, he hasn't reached his ceiling yet. Right?
No, I agree with you.
Potential. So they're paying for his potential, what he might be able to become. It's all downhill right now for Fitz. You got to think they surrounded him around tremendous talent. You can't get your feelings hurt. This is business, and whoever his agent is has to understand that this is the market. This is the market. He's Hoyer. That's who you are. Accept it. You made a lot of money in this league. Now you can either try and play hardball and not have a team, a tremendous situation to really change the trajectory of your career, so people can change the narrative about what they feel about Ryan Fitzpatrick as a quarterback. He has an opportunity to do that, but it ain't about the money no more. All these people treating out money and respect. Man, come on, man. It's a lot of people out there that's underpaid. There's a lot of people that's overpaid. You had your opportunity when you had the leverage in Buffalo. You got paid. You took advantage of it. And you don't get the cash in twice, bruh. It's only 32 jobs. If you don't take it, somebody will. One thing I know about the NFL is they will turn the page and move on. With Fitzpatrick, without Fitzpatrick, I don't know if this team, looking at the schedule, I don't know if Ryan Fitzpatrick is enough anyway. Somebody has to dare to be great. Somebody has to step up and become a superstar. And it can't be the guys that's already superstars. Somebody's got to dare to be great. Whether it's Buster Shreen getting to the star lineup and becoming the next Revis or something. But something has to happen because their schedules suggest that they're not going to have the same record, not even close to the same record they had last.
So I want to get your opinion on that, but we're going to wait until after the break. NBA playoffs, conference finals start tonight. We'll go over what happened over the last week and some comments that were made about the MVP, Steph Curry, when we get back on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Cyberstation USA is the future of radio. Get your business into the online future at the world's largest internet radio station. From banner placement on our homepage to any of our broadcaster stages, commercials on our video player, audio spots on any of our shows, or at the beginning of any of our on-demand broadcasts. Cyberstation USA offers competitive rates with a worldwide reach, a fully integrated one-stop-shop social media broadcast platform. For more information, please contact our sales department at cameo@cyberstationusa.com.
All Noise Radio, powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Monday on Zeno Radio and re-airs every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Cyberstation USA and the Stitcher app. You can also tune in every Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports, or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call into 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
Don't let me down. Don't let me down. Don't let
there's nobody by my side.
We are back, and we finished off with a clip talking about Bart Scott's comments on the situation with the New York Jets and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And I think he makes a great point here, because I've checked out this Jets schedule and it's a brutal one. And for the New York Jets, like he said, you're going to need superstar power in order to take down some of the teams that the New York Jets unfortunately have to take on this season. So, it really is, it's a brutal season for the New York Jets. Even games that just, don't seem like they'll be any sort of basically any kind of a walk in the park. There's no walk in the park for the New York Jets this season. And, obviously it starts the season off right away against a team like the Cincinnati Bengals, who are clear-cut one of the best teams in the league. The Bills, who have gotten better. The Kansas City Chiefs are a great team. Then Seattle, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Baltimore. And this is me being a Jet fan and being as supporting as possible. I don't know if the Jets can win a single one of those games.
Even with Fitzpatrick.
We're talking 6 or 7 games into the season until you take on a little stretch of Cleveland and Miami.
Yeah.
Which Miami has gotten a lot better as well. And Cleveland's no walk in the park either.
Now you think that they won't.
Rams, obviously.
You don't think that they could win those games?
Remember, out of those games, you didn't even play the Patriots yet.
No, and
you haven't even seen the Patriots. You still take on the Colts again. This just does not seem like a very easy schedule. I mean, taking on the NFC West and obviously the AFC North, it's going to be so difficult for them. And as a Jet fan, again, you want to see this team be good. You want to see them succeed. But I don't see it. I don't see it. I really don't. Opening the season at home against the Cincinnati Bengals at 1 o'clock on September 11th, it's going to be so difficult. You play 4 days rest, and then you're taking on Rex Ryan.
Yeah, I mean,
and then you get a 10-day rest, and you got to take on the Kansas City Chiefs.
I couldn't agree with
for the New York Jets. For the Jets, it's really Ryan Fitzpatrick or me under center. It is a very difficult situation. When it comes down to it, is they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
a lot of trouble.
I couldn't agree with you more,
Fitzpatrick or not.
And I couldn't agree with Bart Scott more. And this is what I've been saying for since this whole Ryan Fitzpatrick thing started. But I wanted to talk about other comments here, and I'm going to play a clip from 3 players actually. One is an ex-player, and then 2 are active, obviously. Tracy McGrady first starts it off with his remarks on Steph Curry being the first unanimous MVP. Here's what he had to say.
How do you feel about the fact that it is Steph who got the unanimous MVP compared to some of the guys that you faced on the court?
This is tough, right? For him to be that first player to get this unanimously, I think it just tells you how watered down our league is.
You think so?
Yeah, seriously, because you think about when MJ played, Shaq. I mean, those guys really played against top-notch competition, more superstars, I think, on more teams than it is in our league today. But it's well-deserved, I mean, because he had a hell of a season. It's breaking records. He's rewriting the record books. So, I mean, my hat is off to him. But I just think that, somebody like LeBron deserved to get at least one vote.
Now, that was what Tracy McGrady had to say. This is what LeBron James said.
I don't know. I don't know. I've been quoted, been asked that question numerous times. I don't know what I've said exactly, but I don't know how they defined it. I think if you do it about a year-to-year basis, I think sometimes the word most valuable or best player of the year, you can have different results. That's not taken away from anyone that's ever won the award, but I mean, you look at Steph's numbers. I mean, he averaged 30. I think he led the league in steals. He was 90, 50, 40, and they won 73 wins. I mean, I don't. Can you have really any debate over that? Really, when it comes to that award. But when you talk about most valuable, then you can have a different conversation. So, but take nothing away from him. He's definitely deserving of that award for sure.
Now, basically, if you're reading between the lines there, he's taking a shot at Steph Curry and basically saying that he should be the most valuable when Steph Curry should be the best player of the year. And this is quick, but this is what Steph Curry had to say in return to LeBron James' comments.
I've gotten really good at ignoring people, so that is the theme of the last 2 years. So I'm all right.
So now, listening to those, first off, what do you think about the whole Tracy McGrady comments? Because he says that the league is watered down now, and I mean,
he's right.
In a way, I think he's right.
100% correct, because you're seeing a lot of things now here in the NBA where multiple superstars are going to one team. And, Cleveland's an example. Obviously, Oklahoma City built it the way it is, but they have multiple superstars on a team. And even you could say the Golden State Warriors with someone. I even consider Draymond Green a superstar now. So, he's right. There were more scattered superstars within the NBA, which led to more of an intense, how do you put it, more of a difficult situation in trying to win an MVP award, because someone like Kyrie Irving can't put up 40 a game because you play with LeBron James.
Yeah.
And he's putting up 30 a game. There's only so much you can score,
being on the same team. Yeah.
Game. So when it comes down to it, when you got the multiple superstars on, one team, and that's what the NBA's turned into. It started with the Boston Celtics a couple of years ago with Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and then it moved across to Miami with the whole Dwayne Wade and LeBron James and Chris Bosh, and we're talking Chris Bosh can be related to someone like Charles Barkley and what Charles Barkley was for the Suns. Now you say all of a sudden, let's say Charles Barkley decided, hey, I want to go win an NBA title, so I'm going to go play in the for the Chicago Bulls with Michael Jordan. Or Patrick Ewing decides to leave the New York Knicks and say, hey, I want to go win a championship. Or even Michael Jordan himself, I'm going to go over to Phoenix, or I'm going to go over to New York and play with one of those guys and try to win an NBA championship. So, that's where the comparison comes into play. There was a lot more of a scattered amount of superstars on different teams in the NBA. We got to talk, there's a lot of teams in the NBA now, but there are a lot of irrelevant teams. Not every team has a superstar. I mean, what superstar was on the Phoenix Suns this season? Do you even have an answer to that? Do you have an answer
you have
superstar for the Phoenix Suns this season?
No, hey, listen, I understand. I in a way, I do, agree with Tracy McGrady, but in another way, it's like I don't like this whole old timer, all these comments that are coming out like, oh, Steph Curry couldn't do this in our era, the hand checking and everything like that. But meanwhile, if you watch Steph Curry, it doesn't matter what era he's in. He's still hitting those shots. Yeah, it might be different.
No, again, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
But how could you disagree?
Someone like Charles Barkley can put a perfect explanation point on this. And my point being is Steph Curry drives to the net. And he does one of those.
Yeah, he might not be able to do that anymore.
He's running back down the court. Back 15 years ago, Charles Barkley, in the beginning of one of those
would have knocked him on his.
Would have hit Steph Curry so hard.
Oh, I understand that.
One foul. It wouldn't have been a flagrant. It wouldn't have gone to a review whether or not it's a flagrant. We're talking about a different game.
Well, it kind of goes.
Game 15 years ago.
It kind of goes back to Barkley's comments, last week or so, where he said that, against the Cavaliers, you had, that whole, where they hit the 25 3-pointers, and he basically said someone has to take someone out on the Cavaliers. And I understood what he was going at. I knew what he was going at, and I agreed.
But the
thing is,
just a rough foul to put something in perspective. Is Steph Curry going to drive the lane again after getting hit the way he would have gotten hit by someone like Charles Barkley? Because we all know that's the kind of game Charles Barkley played. It was called an intimidation factor.
Well,
I don't see any more intimidating factors aside from LeBron James in the NBA right now.
With Steph Curry though,
is intimidating.
With Steph Curry, though, he has the handles to create his own shot. That's where I come from. That's where I'm talking about with Steph Curry. And I understand where you're coming from. I understand where everybody else is coming from.
I'm not even going to question Steph Curry's shooting ability. He is the best shooter.
But that's not even all of it. Look at his ball handling. His ball handling is what really sets him apart.
And his defense, we talked about it, leading the league.
Yeah, but his defense. But his defense isn't really that great.
Than we're really talking about right now. But my perspective is he is in basketball when you're defending somebody, if you want to press up on them to prevent that shot, understandable. Now I'm just going to drive right by you, hit the lane and try to get a layup. So basically, when you give this guy a step, he can pop the three. He's forcing you to press up on him. So it basically comes down to the fact where, if you try to press on him and he's going to cut the lane, he feels like he can get a layup every single time without even thinking about getting fouled because it's going to go to review. So, what it comes down to is basically,
all right.
For Steph Curry, this guy's driving the lane left and right.
Yeah.
He's laying it up left and right, and he's not getting fouled because obviously we talk about this where it goes to the review, whether it's a flagrant 1, flagrant 2, or just a clean foul. And I mean, you didn't see things like this 15 years ago, 20 years ago in the Charles Barkley era, in the Michael Jordan era. And that's basically what it comes down to.
Well, we'll be talking to Jim Sweeney, the creator of the mic, coming up when we get back. You're listening to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. The Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Monday on Zeno Radio and re-airs every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Cyberstation USA and the Stitcher app. You can also tune in every Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be
Camby Entertainment Group and Cyberstation USA are now part of Stitcher, a free radio app for your smartphone. With Stitcher, you can listen to live programming as well as archived radio programming right on your phone. To obtain Stitcher, just go to the App Store for your particular phone. Go to search, then type in Stitcher. That's Stitcher, S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. Then download. It's that simple. Stitcher, a free radio app for your smartphone. Convenient access to live and archived Cyberstation USA programming on your mobile phone. That's Stitcher, S-T-I-T-C-H-E-R. Cyberstation USA, always on the go.
All Noise Radio. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. All Noise Radio is an internet radio station that's fully produced by graduates of the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. From modern rock to old school hip hop, country to classical, news, talk, sports, and more. It's the noise you can't ignore. Log on to allnoiseradio.com. Fire up the station. Find out more about your favorite jocks. Get the latest CSB news and more. Plus, you can take All Noise Radio with you on the go for free. Just download the Live 365 app to your iPhone, iPod Touch, or BlackBerry and search All Noise Radio. Check out tomorrow's broadcasters today at allnoiseradio.com. Powered by the Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
We're riding down the boulevard. We're riding through the dark night. We're half a tank and empty heart.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show. We are back. Jerry and Kevin, we are, call in at 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. We'll be talking to Jim Sweeney coming up soon. But before we went to the break, we were talking about the whole unanimous MVP talk with Steph Curry and, how that played out and all the comments that were made about it. I do think he deserved to win unanimously, to be honest with you.
Me too. I mean, just because of the kind of overall player he is. But my point is that when, you heard the comments of certain players and certain former players, could Steph Curry do what he's doing right now in the NBA? 20 years ago, and it's a different game now. They're well protected of these players. Again, money being another big factor in yet another sport. These guys make a lot of money, and you have to protect them at all times, basically no matter what. And that's what happens when such big figures are involved in these players. So, will Steph Curry take a hard foul from somebody? Probably one day. But will that person get like a flagrant 2 and probably a suspension and probably an ejection? Probably, because this is the kind of NBA that we're used to seeing now. This isn't the NBA from 15, 20 years ago with the guys like Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, and, it's just a different era. And therefore, Steph Curry, again, winning the unanimous MVP, I agree 100%. Great player, great defender, and absolutely unfair scorer. That's basically the only way you could describe the kind of scorer that Steph Curry is just being unfair. His shooting ability is so unique, and we've seen it since college, what he was able to do for a small-time school like Davidson, and he's brought it straight through to the NBA. The Golden State Warriors, happy to have him. A couple of ankle injuries early on in his career.
He still has them.
Exactly. Well, it started to point in a direction of the kind of player he was going to be. He was going to be a good player that had injury problems. But in the past 2 years, he's done a great job at being able to stay healthy. And in situations where he has been hurt, his team has picked it up. Again, they obviously didn't have Steph Curry for a couple of games in the first round. And guys on that team have really picked it up. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are a very good team. Draymond Green is an incredible talent. Klay Thompson, again, if Steph Curry wasn't the best shooter in basketball, Klay Thompson would be probably a close second. That's how good of a shooter he is as well. And it goes more into it. They have a couple of good paint guys in Bogut. And, it's just, for this team, the sky's the limit right now. You got a couple of guys early in their careers, Draymond Green early in his career, Klay Thompson early in his career, Steph Curry. I mean, these guys are young, and to already have a championship under their belt, now 73 wins with championship number 2 on the way, it almost seems like.
Yeah.
Unless the Cleveland Cavaliers can get in their way. Let's be honest. I don't see the Toronto Raptors getting in their way. If Toronto somehow miraculously is able to knock off the Cleveland Cavaliers, I don't think they would even stand a chance at this rate. So, obviously, the only thing getting in the way of Steph Curry is LeBron James. And after the quote that we just mentioned from LeBron James regarding Steph Curry, maybe a little bit of an attack. I'm not going to read up too much into it. It's really not even worth it. Steph Curry deserves this award 100%. You take LeBron James off the Cleveland Cavaliers, how much more valuable are you to your team when you got guys like Kyrie Irving and Iman Shumpert and Kevin Love and J.R. Smith? I mean, that's a well-organized team as well. So how valuable are you really to your team just as much as you're bringing it down?
Moving on to the Yankees and Mets. Yankees actually have been pretty impressive since basically Chapman came off of suspension. And they've won the last 3 series against top teams like the Boston Red Sox, the Chicago White Sox, and the Kansas City Royals. Kansas City Royals are the reigning World Series champions. They took 3 out of 4 from them, 2 out of 3 from the Boston Red Sox, and then 2 out of 3 from the White Sox, who have the best record in the AL. And I mean those last 3 innings with Chapman, Betances, and Andrew Miller. I mean it's unstoppable. Really, it really is. Once you get them with a lead, it's a win. It's a win, and the problem that the Yankees have been having is getting it to them. But ever since Chapman has come in, the Yankees have played well. I mean, they've been hitting. For the most part, at least. You get CC Sabathia back. You get CC Sabathia back. You get CC Sabathia back on Friday. You get Alex Rodriguez back maybe Thursday. It looks like he'll be activated on Thursday. So now, I mean, it may start looking up for the Yankees. Let's hope so. I still think that this is, an 85 to 90 win team. I don't know if they're going to get the 90 wins, but I think they're going to be an over 500 team for everybody. I was talking about it last week and how I think it's absolutely absurd or insane that I'm actually hearing people say that the Yankees may be sellers at the trade deadline. I mean, for as long as I've been around, I mean,
well, who are they selling?
But that's the thing, you can sell. The biggest name obviously coming off will end up being Chapman because he's only signed to a 1-year deal. He's a free agent after this year, so I do believe that the Yankees may ship him off. As hard as it will be for me to comprehend that, and I never want to see something so good get traded away, especially having the three of them.
It might not be him that gets sold. It could be any of those three.
Well, I understand.
Right now, that's a bullpen that's basically they have a bullpen made up of 3 guys, and. Yeah. Obviously, they need longer starts from their starters because there have been multiple games so far this season already where all 3 of these guys have had to been utilized. And for the Yankees to stay healthy and have all these guys be effective in the later innings, obviously they've expanded certain guys too. I've seen Betances throw 2-inning performances, but these starters have to get more well into these games. I mean, I've seen Pineda get hit around a couple of times. I've seen Eovaldi early in the year getting hit around, but he's come along. Sabathia is actually, I can't believe I'm actually saying these words. He has been one of the few guys that have actually been very well for the New York Yankees.
Yeah,
pretty impressive.
We're gonna take a break. We'll have hopefully we'll have Jim Sweeney when we come back from the break, and we'll talk about his Mike Sports cartoon character. You're listening to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
This is the evolution of radio.
Cyberstation USA.
Our inventions change us. They make us think differently.
Something new added to the real world.
The leading edge of evolution.
That development has got to be delivered.
CyberstationUSA.com.
The most sophisticated that I've ever seen.
I'm not sure exactly what the future is, but I'm pretty sure it's not going away.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting founder Dick Robinson.
The media business has changed a lot since we opened our doors in 1964. Now media content is everywhere, on air, online, on the go. More than ever, companies are looking for people to help drive this new media.
At Connecticut School of Broadcasting, you'll get hands-on training on the latest software and equipment in a matter of months, not years. Connecticut School of Broadcasting has placed thousands of grads in broadcast media careers.
It's all about versatility. You see, at a radio station, if you also know how to shoot, edit, and post videos, you become a pretty hot commodity. That's the training you get at Connecticut School of Broadcasting.
Connecticut School of Broadcasting with locations up and down the East Coast from Massachusetts to Miami. Call 1-800-TV-RADIO or log on to GoCSB.com. Connecticut School of Broadcasting, the nation's oldest and largest group of broadcast media schools. Redefining training in radio, TV, and new media. Get trained. Get connected. 1-800-TV-RADIO.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Monday on Zeno Radio and re-airs every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern on Cyberstation USA and the Stitcher app. You can also tune in every Wednesday and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
We used to have it all, but now's our curtain call. So hold for the applause. Oh, oh, oh. And wave out to the crowd and take our final bow. Oh, it's our time to go, but at least we stole the show. At least we stole the show.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show. We're back, and we finally got Jim Sweeney. Tom and Jerry Sports Show on Zeno Live. We have a great guest on the show today. Recipient of the Francis Pomeroy Naismith Award as the top NCAA basketball player under 6 feet tall in 1980, and now the creator of the Mike cartoon sports character, Jim Sweeney. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great.
Sorry about this whole thing and, the technical difficulties that we had. But we wanted to, talk about your sports character, the cartoon character, and for the fans,
Sure.
Who is Mike, or should I say, what is Mike?
Mike is an intellectual sports property, which means he's a figment of my imagination that was born with me 58 years ago in Trenton, New Jersey. I've always had a love of sports, played sports all my life, even today, slowly though. And I loved words, I loved humor, and I loved cartoons. And I always felt that there was a void in the sports landscape for a cartoon character. And, I challenge anybody to come up with, a handful of cartoon characters in the world of sports, and there really aren't any. There's Cletus, the Fox football robot, that you see on Fox Football Sunday, and they used him a couple times during Major League Baseball playoffs. And there was Peter Puck that the NHL had utilized many years ago. But since then, there really hasn't been anything in the world of sports that was a cartoon character that isn't necessarily sports specific, but transcends all sports. And I know that I created such a character.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. It's nice to bring, cartoons and sports together. It kind of gets the, maybe the younger crowd into it and into the sports. And, what is your primary goal with the trademark Mike intellectual sports property?
Is to become the first ever animated brand to transcend all sports. Simple goal, but pretty audacious. I believe what I've created is going to be as big as SpongeBob or Bart Simpson, but specifically devoted to the world of sports. And I want to be able to entertain people. I want Mike, to be licensed by a major sports network. Mike's already out there in the written word because I've published 38 sports comic books. I've written close to 850 sports blogs. And just today, we've been in the process of bringing our short Mike on Sports podcast to life through animation. And today I got my first look at Mike in his ESPN Sports Center type studio pontificating about stuff having to do with sports. So I'm beyond excited about that and expect to see Mike on a major sports website within the next couple of months.
That's awesome. Hey, Jim, Kevin here. I just want to ask you, why is what you do so important to you?
Because it's my full-time job. It's my passion. It's both my vocation and avocation. And I was very fortunate in life in which, my wife and I had started a really successful computer sales agency in Florida where we live. And we got to the point where we said, hey, we wanted to do something different, crazy. Something bold and audacious, and developing Mike and bringing him to life through podcasts, through books, now through animation is something that is beyond thrilling to us. We make a little bit of money at it now, but the potential is infinite for what we can do with the character. Once we begin signing licensing deals, with major network or companies looking to utilize Mike's image and likeness to be able to promote their brands.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Well, that sounds absolutely interesting. I just wanted to, how can you best describe the Mike sports character?
We call him the ultimate talking head on sports. Mike's real name is Mike Raffone. His actual birth name is Michael Anthony Raffone. I had a lot of Michael Anthonys that I grew up with as a kid in Trenton, New Jersey. And, Mike Raffone is what he is. He's a microphone. And, many people call sportscasters talking heads, and we call Mike the ultimate talking head on sports, or the American-made sportscaster, because he is made. He's made up.
And just listening to you talk about this whole thing, and I know by the way that you're talking about it and the way that you're bringing this to life, I know that we're going to see this everywhere, and
absolutely.
It's actually really interesting, what you're bringing to life here, and like I said before, I feel like this cartoon is actually going to bring the younger crowd in, to watch sports, whether, Mike ends up on, ESPN or, Fox Sports, like, the other cartoons and stuff like that. I really, applaud you for bringing this to life and kind of, like I said, bringing the younger crowd, because that's definitely what we need nowadays, because you can see, in high schools and stuff like that, not as much kids are going out for the sports teams. They'd rather be inside, whether it be playing video games or stuff like that. And, and even the comic books. I mean, comic books were an old thing too. And, you would see, entertainment, whether it be like Batman or, any type of comic like that. But to have a sports comic book, I mean, I would even be interested in that.
Well, there's a number of them that are available on our website. The website is themike.com, and you can download them for free. It's TheeMike.com. And as I mentioned earlier, I published 38 sports comic books, 25 of them, we sell on Amazon, and I give 13 of them away for free. But, to your point, Mike is really a universal character. Sure, kids would love him, but so will adults. So will, grandparents, listening to Mike or reading his blogs or reading his sports comic books. What we had done, my wife and I, in developing the character, we created a core set of ethics that were built into Mike, and there was certain things that he would never say, like he would never curse, never say anything disparaging, racially or sexually, and not necessarily just rip somebody apart. I think he could be funny in a G or PG type of way, and that's why I believe Mike's a universal character, that you don't have to shield him, from the ears of, young, impressionable kids. And, if you hear Mike and you listen to Mike, he's funny. He'll flaunt with stepping over the line, but he'll never step over the line. Just because we want to keep him that way.
Now, we were talking about this, and now the question we were wondering about, did you really read the dictionary as a kid?
Yeah, isn't that pathetic? And when I got older, it's even more pathetic. I read the thesaurus.
Well, I
love words. Come on, I love words. I love sports. I love humor. And, when you link up all the dots in your life and you look backwards, you say, wow, now I could see why I did that when I was a kid, even though I was probably ridiculed by my peers.
Well, I could definitely see how that helped.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But what I like to say about Mike is he looks at the world of sports through a different lens, because where we're going with the character is we animate him. That's a very expensive and cumbersome process. So you can't necessarily, talk about last night's game between, like, the Raptors closing out the series versus the Heat. Or you can't necessarily talk about, Jose Bautista taking out, the infielder in Texas. You got to talk about things that are more evergreen and not necessarily as topical. So there's a lot of stuff that I've written about that are in our comic books, that I've done with my podcast, and that we're doing with animation, that are more evergreen in nature and not topical. Like my first animated short, which I love, is called Boring Baseball Statistics. And it's just Mike pontificating from his own studio while he's looking at a screen. And in the screen, we have our illustrator and our animator doing all these comics about how baseball statistics drive Mike bonkers. And it's a very witty take on Mike's distaste for boring baseball statistics. Then I've also got, animated shorts I'm doing on Mike's favorite treat at the park, which are Dippin' Dots. And, cryogenically frozen candy-coated ice cream treats guaranteed to find, a toothache you never had. And it's funny stuff like that. It's witty, it's a little left to center, and it's all evergreen, so that if you listen to it today, you don't have to worry if it gets played again 2 or 3 years from now. People should find it amusing at that time. And I talk about, in baseball, the art of adjusting the fellas. And you know what I'm talking about. A guy gets into the batter's box. You're watching a game with your daughter or your grandmom, and the guy's poking and prodding, his midsection.
Yeah.
And Mike calls that the art of adjusting the fellas. So that's what Mike is about. It's about humor, and it's about his own take and his own view on what's happening in sports that maybe a lot of sports fans have seen, but they've never articulated.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Jim, we see that you have a passion in sports and played basketball. Did you play any other sports in your younger years?
Yeah, and I grew up in New Jersey, went to the Lawrenceville School, and I played baseball, played soccer, and I swam. And I'm still, at age 58, I play basketball 3 or 4 times a week. Slowly,
awesome.
But I'm still out there. And I have probably the greatest volunteer gig on the planet. I'm like the Adam Silver of old man's basketball in the United States, where I'm a part of this worldwide organization called FIBA. It's like FIBA, but you put an M in there for masters, which means guys that are 35 plus that play. And I have played probably internationally in tournaments 10 times within the last 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And I help recruit other players, like former college players, some former NBA guys, to play in these tournaments, represent the United States, and it's my passion. Sports has always been my passion, and I'm very fortunate to be able to do it at this stage in my life.
That's awesome. I can't agree with you more. I'm only 27, and I hope that 30 years down the road I can be in a similar boat than what you're in right now, and especially when it comes to the passion in sports.
Yeah, you just gotta push away from the table at the right time and not have that extra beer or glass of wine at night, and then you'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, Jim, it was really great talking to you. Thanks for coming on the show. Everybody can go check out Mike on Sports Comic Books and all the information about the Mike on its website. TheeMike.com, themike.com, and can find Mike on Sports Podcast on the Stitcher app as well as iTunes. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great night.
You too. Well, that was awesome. I mean, to be playing, to even be playing sports, that far in, at the age of 58. I mean, you couldn't be, any luckier, really. I mean, to be able to play sports at that age. It
just shows that
keeping in shape,
diet, and just taking care of yourself and keeping in great shape. What it'll do to you in your later years. And even with the new job that I have now, they stress how important it is to make sure to stay in great shape and keep a healthy diet and always work out and just try to keep yourself in again great shape, so that obviously when you get to your later years like that, you could still be slamming.
Yeah, really.
Like the Jim said.
That will do it. The clock on the wall says that is all, and it was the clock on the wall said that is all a while ago, but we had the technical difficulties that we were having. But we're happy to have Jim on. Hopefully he could come on again. But it was great talking to Jim. I hope you go out and check out his comic books if you're into comic books or just in love with sports, like Jim was and like we are, and we're probably going to go check it out too. Even his podcast on Stitcher and iTunes. But as I said, the clock on the wall says that is all. That will do it for the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Be breezy.
You've been listening to the Tom and Jerry Sports Show
on Zeno Radio.